My name is Rabbi Jacob Feuerwerker. I would like to go a little bit off the subjects of what most of my tapes are and discuss our current United States President, our 45th President, Donald J. Trump. I've been in this country since May of 1960, and when I came I already knew a little bit of English. I've watched or heard on the radio most State of the Union addresses, including Eisenhower's last one in 1961. And I also heard Donald J. Trump's first State of the Union address. A lot of people are condemning Trump for the simple reason that he beat a woman candidate that everybody thought was a shoo-in, Hillary Rodham Clinton, also known as Hitlery Rodham Clinton. Now, what qualification did Hillary Rodham Clinton had to be president? And I actually voted for her in the primaries in 2008. I'm almost glad Obama beat her. And the thing is with Hillary, she had no qualification. She was a real mean person. The Democrats, starting with Nancy Pelosi, started calling people who believe in God, who believe in employment, who believe that we should have fair trade, and who believed in the Second Amendment, a basket of deplorable. Oh wow, all of a sudden I became a deplorable. Hillary actually went to coal miners and told her, "My aim is to put you out of work," quote unquote. How could she expect to win in even traditionally democratic states when she's telling people her aim is to put them out of work, to make them unemployed? What idiocy is this? But my real admiration for Donald Trump, who I believe is not only the best president since I've been here, but being an astute student of history, I also believe he is the best president since Thomas Jefferson, with one more added good point. I do not believe Donald J. Trump ever owned useless livestock, let alone 150 of them. Now, what is wrong with Donald Trump? His detractors are saying he's destroying the so-called New World Order. Do we really need the New World Order where our country is reduced to the level of shit countries such as Haiti or Nigeria or Uganda? Do we really want this for our country? Does any American who has a bit of patriotism left in them really want this for our nation? And what is the New World Order? The New World Order is for a mega government to either have one world government or two world governments or three world governments. Initially it was discussed as a three world government, starting with people discussing it, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Yimach Shimo Zikrono, actually implementing it when he abolished Americans' right to own gold. That was called the Great Gold Robbery of 1934, when the dollar was already reduced to $34.20 per ounce of gold, but gold was forced to redeem at 20 cents an ounce for the Americans who owned it. So they only got 20 cents an ounce, so they already took a 45% loss when they turned their gold and their gold notes and their gold trading over to the government.
$40.
Huh?
$40, you said cents.
35. 40,
Dollars.
40 it went up under Nixon. It was $35 from
Dollars, that's it.
$35 from 1934 to 1969. So then Nixon raised it to $40 an ounce, then to $45 an ounce, then to $70 an ounce, and then we went on the float as part of becoming one world government. What happened with the float? We allowed China to enter the world, our economy. Before the float, China could not enter our economy because their money was not redeemable in gold. And they followed the philosophy of an economist called John Kenneth Galbraith, who John F. Kennedy in his 1962 State of the Union stated, "The wealth of the nation is not in the gold and silver that the country holds, but rather in its production capacity." Considering what our production capacity was since that speech until Donald J. Trump became our president, we are reduced to almost being a shit nation ourselves. Do we want to live in a shit nation? I, for one, who's a citizen by choice, do not want to live in a shit nation. Therefore, I'm really praising Donald Trump for his proposal on immigration, for his proposal on the economy. We must strengthen our nation. Even during World War II, when we had a lot of patriotism, even more so than the patriotism of the Soviet Union, although they called World War II the Great Patriotic War, we still allowed Roosevelt to semi-rape the nation. He stopped the plans for 6 battleships, and after Pearl Harbor, not one of our battleships that saw combat and all of our battleships saw combat was sunk in combat. As a matter of fact, the surplus were very hard to sink, even with nuclear weapons. And he created a situation where our nation was greatly weakened. Truman did likewise in the Korean War by not listening to the great General Douglas MacArthur, may he rest in peace. And Douglas MacArthur was absolutely right, even up to and including the use of nuclear weapon against the Chinese massing on the North Korean border ready to attack us. We liberated North Korea then. What is our main trouble today on the international scene? North Korea and Iran. And who's supplying nuclear weapons to Iran? North Korea. Who's supplying missile technology to Iran? North Korea. By the action of Truman, now our nation is in danger of being nuclear attacked by both North Korea and Iran. Does anybody think Iran needs intercontinental ballistic missiles in order to attack Israel? Israel is only 700 or so miles away from Iran. They don't need intercontinental ballistic missiles to attack Israel. Scud rockets would do. So what's going on again? What's going on? Donald J. Trump is now taking us off the international one world government, which Kennedy actually signed in November 1969, that by 2015 we'd be part of that international government, that we were supposed to reduce our arms, both held by our military and held by private citizens, to no more than 100,000 automatic weapons in our military and 200,000 semi-automatic weapons That includes rifles and pistols by our civilians. Thank God patriotic Americans stopped this. Even though we had successive presidents who tried to pass gun control laws that would do that. Thank God we had patriotic presidents. My opinion for us to become again a great nation is to go back to the drug and medical laws that existed in 1900. Let other practitioners come in the field. Even China lets them do that. And let the civil court deal with those who malpractice. Let's go back to the federal gun laws that existed in 1900 and strengthen the Second Amendment as it concerns state rights to control firearms. Let us go back to the so-called drug laws and plant laws that existed in 1900. Crime was a lot less in proportion to the population. And yes, I know there's snowflakes and libertards who state that we need more laws now that we got more population. Do we really need more laws? For a few years I lived in a place called Gibbon, Nebraska. They didn't even have a police department at the time I lived there. And guess what? There was no crime. But what? They had very few laws. The few laws they had were laws on serious matters that were strictly enforced, and people knew what the law expected of them and acted likewise. Those who didn't want to live by the law moved, and those who wanted to live by the law stayed. My big regret is that I didn't buy property in Gibbon when it was cheap. Because a friend of mine bought a 2,600 square foot house plus a full basement for $12,000, spent $20,000 fixing it, and he has practically a mansion on a third of an acre of land in the middle of the city. And taxes there are low. Yes, they charge the same real estate taxes as them will rate your vehicle up to 10 years, but still they're relatively low. And you see a lot of classic cars there, because for classic car, the license plate is $25 a year. And for those cars that are over 30 years old, you get a one-time license plate, and unlike in Ohio, you could drive that car as much as you want. The only restriction from a historic vehicle is that you have a garage to garage it in, just like in Ohio. And again, what is wrong with that? And I think earlier today, I read the so-called dossier on Donald Trump and on the Democrats started. There's absolutely no criminal act. There's no collusion between Trump and the Russians. And even if it was, is it against the law? I mean, President Putin is patriotic to his own people. We had a president for 8 years by the name of Barack Insane Obama, who actually, as the president of the Philippines, calls him a bastard and son of a whore. And why does the president of the Philippines calls our 44th president a bastard and a son of a whore? Because that's what he is. My friend, we elected, what great nation in the world elects a bastard who's a son of a whore as president? But be as it may, President Trump is trying as best as he can to make America great again, to make us industrial again, to make us productive again, to make us the best educated nation again. When I came to this country in 1960, when the silver in your pocket was really silver, it was 90% silver, and inflation was unheard of, or practically unheard of. We had a full employment economy with less than 3% unemployment. And prices were going down as production was going up. As people became more productive, they earned higher wages and salary, and prices were going down. And I could prove it to you because I got car books in my house that tells you the prices of cars from that era, and then later after we went off the silver standard, and when we went on the float it really got bad. But the thing is, in 1960 we were between number 1 and number 3 in almost every manner of world production. We were number 1 in woolens, even beating England, who raped Ireland in order to raise sheep. Actually, they raped both Ireland and Scotland in order to raise sheep. We were beating everybody in steel. We were number 1 in steel production. We were number 1 in automobile production. In fact, the next 3 countries in the world put together did not match our automobile and truck production. And I believe, considering our population, and at that time our population was only 160 million, today our population is over 300 million, and if you count illegal aliens that should be deported, it's over 330 million. So we got 10% of our population that needs to be deported out of this country. But the fact is, on many factors, we're less than number 20 on education, on steel production, on automobile production. Italy beats us. Little Italy beats us. You've seen how small Italy is compared to the United States. Japan beats us. Japan is the size of one state, California, yet they beat us in auto production. Because we've surrendered in steel production, we're down to number 22nd or 23rd in the world. China dumps garbage steel on us. Russia beats us in steel production today. This is totally outrageous, and it's making our country less defensible because you need steel, and high quality steel and high quality aluminum for weapon production. So thank God that Donald J. Trump broke several treaties that would have made America a totally third world shit country. And thank God he's producing and proposing policies that will make this country great again. As they say in Hebrew, hallelujah. Translate, praise the Lord.